And from Columbus, Ohio, I'm your host, Robb Dunewood.
And coming out of Philly, it's your girl, Tech Life Steph.
And out of Atlanta, this is Terrance Gaines, aka Brother Tech, aka Mike Lowry, aka in West Philadelphia, born and
Oh
raised,
man, come
aka
on.
punks jump up to get beat
Come
down.
on, man. Don't go there.
Y'all wanted some AKAs? How about those? AKA
uh,
Wild Wild West,
So, for those
AKA
who don't
Getting Jiggy with
know
It.
what Mr. Brother Tech is talking about, the Oscars last night, I tried my
right.
best not to watch. Let me rephrase that. I'm not like an anti-Oscars person. I'm just
I
not
am.
a. I don't really care. It's like it's like, a bunch of people and a bunch of movies that I probably didn't see, and it's an award show. And it's like if I want to actually spend time in front of television, there's other stuff that I would actually watch that I would find more entertaining. So it wasn't that I was like, usually I would just wake up on Monday morning and, look at the USA Today or something like that. It's like, oh, this person won, that person won. Takes me about 5 minutes to read it. And I'm good as compared to the 3 hours that it takes to actually watch the show. But I don't know. What was it
So the
last night?
only reason I actually watched is because it was produced by Will Packer and his production team.
Hmm.
I actually went to school with Will Packer. We sat in class trying to get through engineering courses together. I consider him, he's not a close friend, but I do consider him a friend. And he's a rattler. He's family all day. So I watched in support of him being the first Black producer and his producing partner, his sister. They're the first Black producing team for the Oscars. So it hit even more different to see this thing happen with Will when it's just like, we know how America is. We know, if one Black person mess up, we don't get it. And I'm over all the think pieces that say we're not responsible for every Black person. Da, da, da. No, we're not. We're not. I agree with that. However, we're still in America and it's still a thing. So I just feel badly for the opportunity the next person may not get because of what happened. So I don't know. But I was supporting my boy and I saw Will Smith slap somebody.
I was not expecting Will Smith to source awards it up. I just, I just
And
wasn't.
nobody was,
No, that
especially
was.
especially Chris Rock.
No, no, that was
Nobody was,
just
and
it
I
was that,
think, that's what you saw was the straw that broke the camel's back. What you saw was the
absolutely.
tipping point. Was you saw what you saw was a man gone pushed too far. Um, just from just last year or 2 years ago, whenever the whole entanglement thing happened, right?
Hmm.
Will Smith had to sit through that. People call, judging him based on that. Then going back to some of the other things he's done. They count. He's not necessarily washed up, but he hasn't had a box office hit in however many years, so he had to sit through that. And then again, like I mentioned,
And you have to think
all
about his own ego that he talks about in his
Hmm.
book, his
right,
own
and he's
ego,
got
his
an
own
ego.
narcissism, his
Right,
own,
right.
stuff he's dealing
Uh-huh.
with.
And
Hmm.
his relationship with him and his wife being in public, and the what do you call the punchline of so many jokes and him being a cornball, and
Yeah, he
all that adds up to where he's sitting there, and this dude, Chris Rock, being a comedian, doing what comedians do,
doing what
takes it
comedians do.
takes a shot, of one of many, to what I've heard, shots at his wife, as it relates to her appearance being her hair being her battling alopecia, whether Chris Rock
Well,
knew known that
he
or
claims
not.
he didn't know. Yeah,
Right,
which
right.
is which is a fair. It's I don't know that you can
I
assume
didn't. I
everybody would
didn't
have
know.
known.
Yeah, I
I
didn't
don't
know.
think you can
Yeah.
assume everybody would have known that.
Yeah, but coming from Will's standpoint, him sitting there having to sit through that, and then him looking at his wife and clearly seeing that she is not cool with this. I mean, I can understand how a dude in that situation would slap shit out of somebody. You sitting there talking about my wife while I'm sitting there. I can understand.
I
I
hear
get it.
everything you're saying. However, and I'm not a man, so what goes on in people that
And I've
have
talked to my wife
way
about
more
this.
testosterone than me. I can't speak to that. But I can say I'm good and grown, and I've never hit someone in anger in my entire adult life. Like
Yeah, no, I get it.
I just haven't done that, and it wouldn't even occur to me to do, in self defense, yes, but just because I'm mad because they said something, like it just wouldn't even occur to me to do that, and the idea that they would have let him stay there and sit there, like, I mean, they literally just went on like it never happened. Which was the bigger shock. I was like, we ain't doing nothing. He ain't
Oh,
got to
they
go
didn't. They
backstage
didn't
and
come out
calm
until
down,
today.
or you know what I mean? Like I'm like, the fact that everybody just let it go. I don't know that there's ever any excuse to justify somebody doing that to somebody else. Just
No,
like
there's no excuse. There's no excuse. No, don't get me wrong. I talked to my wife about it this morning, and she was along the same lines, and I asked her, I'm like, hey, if we're somewhere public, we're in a network of people that we know, and you're dealing with something personal that you're either struggling or not struggling to deal with, people may or may not know what you're struggling with. Somebody that we are familiar with in our network, we know whatever the case may be, um, calls you out, disrespects you, whatever you want to call it, makes a funny comment, joke about this thing you're struggling with, how would you want me to respond? And she was like,
right,
yeah, there's a time and place for everything,
right.
and I'm like, yeah, I get it. But me, I don't know. And this is, I can only speculate because I've never been in this situation, but Rob, you can attest to this. Men, let me not say men, me, I've always struggled with how would I respond in a situation like that?
Yeah,
Would I be the bigger man? Would I turn the upper cheek? Would I snap? Would I lose it? Would I feel disrespected or whatever the case may be? I don't know. But I do know after the event is over, I I'm pretty sure my wife, if I turn the other cheek, my wife would say, hey, I'm proud of you for making the right decision. You don't stoop to people's level. When they go low, you go high. All those things. I'm pretty sure I wouldn't be able to sleep at night.
yeah,
On
yeah.
the flip side, if I do what a lot of people, not a lot of people in relationships claim, you want a man to protect you, defend your honor, X, Y, and
Mhm.
Z, chivalry, yada, yada, yada. I feel like if I would have did the opposite and did what Will did, I probably would be embarrassed, but I would sleep very, very well at night,
Mhm.
knowing that the steps I made, I took the go low step, and I think it's funny. And one thing, Rob, and I'll let you jump in, I do find it funny as all the armchair quarterbacks, right?
Hmm.
Everybody's got the T-shirts that say, "Try Jesus, don't try me," and everybody's got the "I'm not my ancestors, I lay hands," and everybody's got the what's the other "F around and find out" shirts, and everybody does that on Twitter. I find it refreshing and also puzzling at how not of a monolith that we are, because a lot of people are split down the middle on this. But when the consensus before this was "don't try me," and
Hmm.
now a situation that actually come up, I can see people like split down the line. It's like, that's refreshing. We're not a monolith, black folks specifically, but also, I was kind of surprised, when again, like I said, the consensus was you don't punks jump up and get beat down, right?
So I agree with you. I can absolutely understand if that would have been a situation for me and I would have done that. I would have probably not had a problem sleeping last night. That being said, Will Smith can't do that.
He
It's like,
can,
bruh.
and he
Well,
did.
no, well, clearly he can.
Clearly,
He did it.
clearly.
You know what I probably should say is that the regular person can't do that, because the regular person that do that might have got shot before they even got to Chris Rock, or something, would have got tackled by security or something like that. What I would have hoped that it would have happened is that if okay, you need to go say something right now in the middle of the show, you go and you let Chris Rock know that if you do not apologize to my wife immediately, I'm going to smack the taste out your mouth. So you at least get the option.
There, that
You
part.
get the
If
option,
he had went
and
up
then
there
if
and just spoke to him man to man and
Right, I
said,
get
"Yo,
it.
I need you to pull that back. I need you to fall back, bro, or we're gonna have a problem here." You know what
I
I'm
get
saying?
it.
I feel like that's what men
yeah,
do,
I get it.
and it. So a couple things like we are dealing with unprecedented violence in this country, around the world, but we talking about America, in this country, and amongst black people. it can all boil down to, well, he disrespected. You know how many brothers in jail right now
I
because
get it.
somebody disrespected them?
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And how many brothers are dead right now because somebody
When,
disrespected them?
when
You know what I'm
keeping
saying?
it real goes wrong.
We
Y'all
gotta
remember
be
that?
better than that. We gotta
I
be,
get it. But
and
at the
it's
same
just,
time, I'm pretty sure Will, he read the room and it's like, all right, we in the Emmys with all these with all these people, and I may not get another shot to do this, so let me go ahead and shoot my
Yeah.
he
shot
literally could have
right
went on that
now.
stage, he could have gripped him up. I might not even been mad had he gripped him up and been like, yo, I'm gonna need you to apologize to my wife. You know, he could have leaned in his ear. She has a medical condition. You know, I don't really appreciate you, you know, clowning her because like he could have
Mhm.
done so many different things before it got to that point. And to be quite honest, if I'm keeping it all the way a bean right now, I wouldn't have even been mad if Will wanted to see him outside after this. You know what I'm saying? If he wasn't happy with whatever response he got from Chris Rock on that stage and was like, I'm gonna see you in the parking lot, and then they handled it there, I don't know that I would even been mad with that. But the idea that you would walk on stage at an internationally broadcast live event and do that, it's just so wildly inappropriate and you know and
You're absolutely
inexcusable.
right.
And I
Mhm.
just can't. Yeah, I'm like, I can't co-sign that. I was
So
never one of those people talking about try Jesus, not me. Like you know, I just like I said, I'm a grown ass woman. I've never put my hands on anybody in anger as an adult, and I just you won't ever be able to make that make sense to me. Honestly,
I
it's
get
just
it, but I
yeah,
also
it's
understand.
so this
you
is a
know,
tech
Chris Rock's
show.
words come back to haunt him. He was like, I ain't saying I condone it. You
But
know,
and
his
then
words have really
again,
come back to haunt him.
Chris Rock, he clowned threw some shots at Jada before when Will Smith and Jada they publicly
When they said they weren't going to go to the
they
Oscars, he's
boycotted the
like,
Oscars, and
Right.
I don't
Chris
remember
Rock,
y'all getting invites anyway. So
right,
yeah,
right.
Well,
so
He's
her. He didn't
he's
remember
done
her
that.
getting invited. I mean,
right, right. It's a joke, and he's a comedian, and that's what comedians do. And him, Will, as a superstar, should be able to take it on the chin, and the better man, and all those things. Everything you
So
just said is 100% correct.
do
But
yeah.
y'all
guess what?
remember?
Guess what won't happen again? I bet Chris Rock won't say nothing next time. Bet he won't.
Or he'll have a bodyguard in the front row sitting right next to
Hmm.
Will. Do
Hmm.
y'all remember? This is several years back, but it was some award show. I can't remember what it is. It was being hosted by Steve Harvey, and Paul Mooney came up to do something, and for whatever reason, he decided to just do a set on all the things that he does not like about Diana Ross.
No,
Right
I don't remember this.
when,
Paul Mooney did
right,
that?
Paul Mooney did this right when
Wow.
Tracy Ellis Ross was sitting there right in the audience. And he kept going and he kept going and he kept going. And it was cruel and it was malicious. Like, bro, you talking about her
And Paul
mama
Mooney,
and she's sitting right
his
there.
tongue is sharp. Paul Mooney
And
don't. Oof, oof.
I remember Steve Harvey coming out and saying it's like I'm glad that you have the grace that you do, because I would have had to go up there and put some hands on that man. So I understand it's like sometimes they a comedian can absolutely cross the line, and I think Mike Tyson said it best. It's like, you got all these people saying all this stuff on social media because they don't have a fear of getting hit in the face.
Yeah.
And I'm paraphrasing. That's not his exact quote, but yeah, it's like Chris Rock found out. Like I said, but my thing is, like I said, I will say this: you can't do that. That is,
No, you can't. You can't do
you
that.
can do that. You shouldn't do that. And if you
Right.
don't have the resources of a
You
Will
might want
Smith,
to think about it, rethink it.
Oh yeah, no.
your
And to
situation
Saray's
might be
point,
different the next morning.
to Saray's point in the chat, yes, I think we all agree that the quote unquote joke was in incredibly poor taste. I don't know that you can qualify it in any way. However, if Chris Rock truly did not know that Jada Pinkett had alopecia, then it was
Not a bad joke.
not a good
Yeah,
joke, but it wasn't a
but
bad
it
joke.
wasn't like
It wasn't
horrible.
if he thought, because like I said, Jada Pinkett has had many different hairstyles over the years. Half her head's been shaved, half of it's not been. You know what I mean? So she's done a whole, and that could have been related to the alopecia as well. And she just wasn't talking about it at the time. But she has had many different unusual hairstyles. So the idea that her head would be shaved now could just be another part of that her expressing herself through her hairstyle. And if you don't know that she has a condition, that joke is actually low key appropriate. I mean, it wasn't a negative joke. It was only a negative joke in the sense that she couldn't help the fact that she doesn't have hair. If she had voluntarily cut her hair off, the joke would have flowed and been right in line, because there's nothing bad or offensive about G.I. Jane. It was a halfway decent movie. Demi Moore was a badass in it. You know what I mean? It wasn't necessarily the worst joke in the world if you didn't know she had a medical condition.
Guess what Chris Rock is going to do going forward? He's going to do a little research after this one.
Well, yeah. Yes. Do your home. Google is free. Google is free. So, but yeah, it was
embarrassing. It stung.
It was inappropriate in the context.
This is my biggest issue with it, is that there were so many good things that were going on from what I hear, because I didn't watch it last night. Questlove won for summer, for summer. What was it called? Summer of Soul.
Summer of Soul, yeah.
One for that. There was so much other stuff that was that is being tainted now because of this thing. Because no matter what you do, this is going to be the thing.
The Oscars that Will Smith's not Chris Rock. Nothing else happened.
I think people will move on. Just like Russia, just like COVID, just like anything else. We'll change the channel. We won't be talking about this for 3 months from now. That's my personal opinion. In the moment, this is all anybody is going to talk about, because my timeline is still filled with
it's going to stay. But I agree with that to a certain point. And I'm going to go back to my initial point about Will Packer producing. I honestly think they're going to tie his producing this to this, and why it didn't turn out well and why it wasn't successful. And I mean, you can't blame him. He wouldn't have.
It though? What? people, there's no such thing as bad press.
I get
this is probably they're going to get
they're going to get all the traction out of it as they can. But I think when they look at next year and a year after and a year after that and a year after that, when they look at who do we want to produce this, I don't think they're going to consider any Black people. I don't. I know.
I get it.
I think this will be the reason why. So, while the news is going to die down and we'll move on to the next big scandal, this just, removes an opportunity for that next Black production team. Not that we need to be producing the Oscars anyway, but still, what I mean? That was my thing I was going to.
But still. I don't watch the Oscars anyway, for that reason, that I think we should support more Black produced award shows. So maybe we'll flip to the NAACP awards. Maybe we'll flip to the BET. Maybe BET Awards gets better. I don't know.